Welcome to the How Soccer Explains Leadership podcast, where we explore leadership principles through the lens of the beautiful game.
Welcome back to How Soccer Explains Leadership. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Thank you for helping us make another great season last season. Season 5, we just finished up. We had that post-match show recently. And now we're going to be starting some more off-season talks. We might have a highlight show or something in the midst of these off-season talks. But right now, we are starting. What we're going to have is over the next few episodes, we're going to have some different conversations. Some of them will just be me talking. Some will just be Paul talking, and some will be the two of us getting together and chatting about some important things that we have seen come up in our coaching, we've seen come up in our lives, that we think will help you out. So that's what we're going to be doing in these off-season talks. At the end of this show, I'm also going to be talking about ways you can get involved with coaching the bigger game and Warrior Way Soccer that Paul and Marcy Jobson are working on. I'm Phil Dark. You're a host of this show. If this is your first foray into How Soccer Explains Leadership, you can find out a lot more in all the other episodes that we have. So go back, check those out. Season 5 was a fantastic season, as were the other ones. But we had some great stories, great people, great things to learn from in all of the episodes preceding this one. I think it's 70-something episodes at this point. Super excited to be able to do what I get to do. And today, I really just want to address something that came up recently. I mean, it's been going on, unfortunately, for a very, very long time. But it was in the regional final game. It was a team that is in our league, and there was, in the shootout, some racial sounds made while a player was taking a penalty kick. And it just really got me thinking, first of all, how wrong that is, how we often put winning over just character and class and humanness. And I was listening to a sermon recently, and it was talking about the assault on the Imago Dei, the assault on the image of God, that racial injustice and a lot of other things really bring out. And we forget that these are other people. These are other human beings that we should be seeking to love. We should be seeking to see how we can help others flourish. And oftentimes we're tearing other people down just so we can win. And that's something that is so wrong. And it's so, there's something about competitiveness and being able to go toe-to-toe with people in the arena, so to speak, but to not really, again, assault their humanity and tear them down so that we can build ourselves up. I mean, that's something we teach our kids early on in life is don't tear others down to build you up. Just you want to be able to have everyone flourish to the extent possible. So why are we doing that in our soccer fields? And it actually came up recently, too, just in my son's game. It was 12-year-old boys. And it was the end of a really tight game. I mean, there was a red card in this game. There was apparently some racial slurs between the players in that game as well, which is just, again, terrible. And one of the dads in the game, I've never seen this before in all the years I've had. He takes the ball. It went out of bounds. The kid was going to get the throw in. He basically goes to hand the ball to our player last few minutes of the game. He puts it to the kid, and then he basically throws it backwards right when our kid was going to grab it, just to kill more time. I mean, and it just was so wrong. I mean, what are the parents teaching these kids? What are the coaches, if they're accepting these racial slurs, teaching these kids? What are the other students teaching each other? It's something that I really, as a coach, as a dad, as another human with these people, really hope and pray that we can figure out how we can play really, really hard, understand that, yes, we want to win, but know that that's not at all costs, right? Know that the winning takes a backseat to how we can build up our players. It's secondary to training up our children, especially in the youth ranks, to training up our children to be better humans, to training up our children on how they can be leaders, to training up our children on how they can use these lessons from this game that we love to be able to be better in every aspect of their life. It's why we started this podcast. It's why How Soccer Explains Life and Leadership. It's why we know we can learn great lessons from this game on how to be better parents, how to be better spouses, how to be better friends, how to be better humans all the way around. That's what this game can teach us. That's what being on the field, on the court, on whatever in these different sports, that's what these things can teach us if we let them, if we prioritize that. But if we allow just our depravity, our brokenness to lead us, we will be making these slurs. We will be doing these different things. Early on in this show, I had Clyde Best, one of my old coaches, on, and he was talking about in West Ham when he was going on the field. They were making monkey noises. They were making monkey chants. They were doing all these things. And I love what he said. He said, the way I shut them up was I put the ball in the back of the net. But I know it hurt him, and it was something that he has fought and he's still fighting against, that we can hopefully help these people learn that what they're doing is wrong. In the meantime, we can take the high road when people do those things. But coaches that are listening, parents that are listening, if you hear these things, if you see these things, call these people out. Don't just let it go. Don't laugh at them. Don't go, oh yeah, good job, way to throw the ball back when a 12-year-old boy is trying to get the ball. And I heard some of those parents doing that. I remember when my daughter was about 9, my wife was walking down their sideline, the other parent's sideline, and they were throwing out F-bombs. And I've heard our parents do that too. So I'm not saying it's not just other people. This season in my Folsom High soccer games, we had people that were throwing out different things, yelling profanity to the referees, and I immediately turned around to our crowd and I just yelled. I didn't even know who did it. I just yelled, that needs to stop right now. There's no place for that in this game. And so hopefully they took that message. And our girls, I mean, most importantly to me is that my team saw that and knows that is unacceptable. There's no place for that. That's why the 2 rules I had for our girls were there is no profanity on our team. It's just zero tolerance for profanity. And why is that? Because it shows lack of character. I mean, it's just class. It's not something that we can take lightly. The other one is we wear shin guards in practice. The reason for that is we play harder when we wear shin guards. That's a whole different conversation for a different day. We can talk about that some other time. Maybe I'll talk about that with Paul and see what he thinks about it. But right now, I don't want to belabor the point. I'm going to cut it off here on this conversation with just this. I'm going to say, look, we need to hold ourselves, we need to hold others to higher standards. These things that go on in society, these soccer fields, these different sports arenas are a microcosm of what goes on in the bigger world and how we're leading our children, how we're leading each other in these sports will have implications outside the game as well. Now, we also got to teach our kids that you're going to be hearing these things. You have to hold your head. You got to keep your head. When I talked to our players, we knew another team was really cheap. We knew they were known to be cheap on the field. They would take you out. They would hit you. They would knock you behind the ball. And, that's all part of the game. And what we told our girls before the game was do not retaliate. As we talked about on this show, retaliator often gets the red, but it's also not right. Don't respond cheap for cheap. Respond with cheap. Respond to these slurs. Respond to this stuff that people are yelling at you and saying to you that's wrong, as Clyde Best talked about. Put the ball in the back of the net. You respond with better play. You respond by playing harder. You respond by doing the next right thing, which is to build your team up, to show class and to play your hardest and have that drive you to be better. After the game, shake their hand, look them in the eye, and say, good game. Don't dive into the mud pit with the pigs, or else you're going to get dirty yourself. So, folks, you can tell, I mean, this is something we could talk, and I very likely will have a conversation with Paul about this, and we have already on this show. but it's something that I saw that I just, man, this is so important. Something that, my why is to help others flourish and make good things better. Well, we're not helping people flourish when we're tearing them down. We're not making things better when we're tearing people down and when we're not showing character, we're not having class. So, folks, with that, I'm gonna end this little off season, the conversation about that anyway, and I want to remind you, warriorwaysoccer.com. If you want information on the Warrior Way program that Paul and Marcy Jobson are doing, coachingthebiggergame.com. If you want information and if you want to sign up for the information about the Coaching the Bigger Game program that Christian DeVries and I are putting out there to help you understand how to coach yourself. And these things I just talked about are all covered in there, how we can be healthier individuals, how we can coach the individual players, and how we can coach the team so that we can respond to these awful things in the right way. So we personally can, so our individual players can, and so our team can. So we know that we are prepared for those things when they happen. Because if we just respond in our brokenness to broken things, it's probably going to escalate it and make it a whole lot worse. So we need to be ready for these things before they happen. That's what Coaching the Bigger Game talks about, and will help you to be able to do. All right, folks. Well, I know this was a little heavy for the first off-season talk, but that's what we don't shy away from tough issues. You could tell I'm passionate about it, and I am. So if you have any thoughts on this, I very much would love to hear them. You can go to the Facebook group, Facebook page, and show out, throw out some questions, throw out some thoughts you have on this topic. If you want to do a little video and put it on there, I would love to hear from you. If you have any things you want to email me, phil@howsoccerexplainsleadership.com, and I'd love to start a conversation with you. So, folks, I hope that you take what you're learning from this show and you're using it to help you to be a better leader. You're using it to help you to fight against these injustices that are happening on our fields and off our fields. You're using it to help you to lead your players, to lead your people really, really well. You're using it to help you to be a better parent, a better spouse, better friend, better leader in your community. And you're continually using it to remind you that soccer does explain life and leadership. Thanks a lot. Have a great week.